Have you ever found yourself turning down an invite to a big family gathering or maybe skipping that coffee date with an old friend, not because you don't care, but because it just feels like a lot? If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. I've been there too, standing at the kitchen counter, staring at my phone, wondering why I'd rather stay home with a good book than head out to a crowded room. And you know what? That feeling doesn't make you strange or broken. It's something so many of us experience as we get older, and there's a reason for it, a bunch of reasons, actually. Today, I want to walk you through 6 psychological shifts that might be behind why you're pulling back from people more these days, and here's the best part, it's completely normal. We're not talking about shutting the world out or becoming a hermit, though if you've got a cozy cabin in the woods, I'm a little jealous. No, this is about understanding why your social battery might not recharge the way it used to, and why that's okay. So, grab a cup of tea, get comfy, and let's chat about what's really going on. First off, let's think about how our priorities change as we age. When you were younger, maybe in your 20s or 30s, life was a whirlwind, right? You were juggling work, raising kids, keeping up with friends, and probably saying yes to every barbecue or birthday party just to keep the wheels turning. Back then, being around people wasn't just fun, it was how you built your world. But now, things are different. You've lived a lot of life. You've got decades of memories, experiences, and lessons under your belt. And with all that comes a quiet shift, you start craving depth over quantity. It's not that you don't like people anymore, it's that you'd rather spend your energy on the ones who really get you, the ones who don't drain you. Psychologically, this is your mind doing some spring cleaning. It's saying, hey, I've only got so much time and energy left, let's make it count. And that's a beautiful thing. Think about it, would you rather sit through a loud, chaotic dinner with 20 people you barely know, or have a heart-to-heart with your oldest friend over a glass of wine? For a lot of us, that choice gets clearer with age. It's not about being antisocial, it's about knowing what matters to you now. And that ties right into something else I've noticed, both in myself and in folks I've talked to. As we get older, we get better at listening to ourselves. I mean, really listening. When you were younger, maybe you pushed through exhaustion to keep up appearances, smiling through a party even when your feet ached and your head was screaming for a nap. But now, you're more in tune with what you need. Psychologists call this self-regulation, and it's like a superpower that grows stronger with age. You start to notice when your energy's dipping or when a big group feels overwhelming, and instead of ignoring it, you honor it. Maybe that means saying no to a last-minute get-together or skipping the neighborhood potluck because you'd rather take a quiet walk instead. That's not you being rude or standoffish, it's you taking care of yourself. I remember a time not long ago when I forced myself to go to a big event, even though I was wiped out from a long week. I got there, and within 20 minutes, I was counting the seconds until I could leave. Lesson learned. These days, I'm more likely to trust that little voice that says, stay in, rest, recharge. And you know what? I feel better for it. Chances are, you've had moments like that too, times when you chose peace over pressure and realized it was the right call. Now, while we're on the subject of energy, let's talk about something else that sneaks up on us as we age, how our tolerance for drama starts to fade. Oh, I can laugh about it now, but there was a time when I'd get caught up in every little argument or gossip circle, whose feelings got hurt, who said what, who's not talking to who. It was exhausting, wasn't it? But here's the thing, the older you get, the less that stuff matters. Psychologically, this is your brain learning to let go of what doesn't serve you. You've seen enough of life to know that not every battle's worth fighting, and not every conversation's worth having. So when you start dodging people who thrive on chaos, or even just steering clear of situations where you know the tension's going to run high, that's not you hiding. That's wisdom kicking in. I've got a friend who used to host these big, loud game nights, and they were a blast, until they weren't. Somewhere along the line, I realized I'd rather spend my Saturday nights with a puzzle and some music than refereeing who cheated at cards. And honestly, I don't miss the noise. You might feel that way too. Pulling back from the drama feels like lifting a weight off your shoulders, and it's one more reason why stepping away from people sometimes is perfectly normal. So, we've talked about prioritizing what matters, listening to yourself, and ditching the drama, all these little shifts that nudge us toward quieter, simpler days. But there's more to it than that, and it's something I think a lot of us don't see coming until it's right in front of us, because as life goes on, you start to notice something else creeping in, a kind of quiet confidence in who you are. I don't mean strutting around like you've got it all figured out, though if you do, more power to you. I'm talking about that deep down sense that you don't need to prove yourself to anyone anymore. When you were younger, maybe you felt this pull to fit in, to keep up, to be the life of the party or the one everyone leaned on. And that took a lot of energy, running around, making sure everyone else was okay, keeping the social wheels spinning. But now, you've been around long enough to know who you are, what you like, and what you don't. Psychologically, this is called a stronger sense of self, and it's one of those gifts that comes with age. You're not as worried about what people think, so you don't feel that same pressure to say yes to every invite or show up just to keep the peace. I've caught myself thinking, if I don't feel like going, I'm not going, and that's that. It's liberating. Like, why spend an afternoon with folks who don't spark joy when I could be pottering in the garden or catching up on that show I've been meaning to watch? That shift might mean you're dodging the big crowds or the small talk more often, but it's not because you're turning into a grump, it's because you're finally okay with putting yourself first. And honestly, after all these years, you've earned that. That confidence ties into something else I've seen in myself and others lately, how we start to crave control over our time. Think about it, when you were younger, your days were packed, right? Work, family, errands, social stuff, it was like you were on someone else's clock all the time. But now, whether you're retired or just slowing down a bit, you've got this precious thing called freedom. And once you taste it, you don't want to give it up. Psychologists say this is about autonomy, needing to feel like you're the one steering the ship. So when someone calls up and says, "Hey, let's do lunch," or "Come to this thing next weekend," it's not just about whether you feel like it, it's about whether it fits into the rhythm you've built for yourself. I've had days where I've planned nothing more than a slow breakfast and a walk by the lake, and the idea of squeezing in a noisy get-together just throws everything off. It's not that I don't love my friends or family, it's that I love my quiet mornings too. And sometimes, that means saying, "Not today," or even, "Not this week." That's not you pulling away from the world, it's you guarding your peace, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's one of the smartest things we learn to do as we get older. And while we're talking about peace, let's touch on something that hits a little deeper, how our view of time changes. I don't want to get too heavy here, but you've probably felt it too, that sense that the years are flying by faster than they used to. When you're 30, time feels endless, like you've got forever to catch up with people or make new plans. But at 60, 70, 80, you start to see it differently. Psychologically, this is called time perspective, and it shifts as we age. You realize every day is a gift, and you want to spend it on what feels meaningful, not just filling it up with noise. For some of us, that means fewer big gatherings or casual chats, because we'd rather save our energy for the moments that really light us up. I remember talking to my neighbor, Joan. She's 78 and sharp as a tack. She told me she used to host these huge holiday parties every year, but now she'd rather have her grandkids over for a quiet afternoon instead. "I don't have time for the fluff anymore," she said, and I totally got it. It's not about cutting people out, it's about choosing what fills your heart. Maybe for you, that's a phone call with an old pal instead of a packed reunion, or maybe it's just sitting on the porch with your thoughts. Whatever it is, that shift is normal, and it's your mind's way of making sure these years count. So, we've walked through how you grow into yourself, how you protect your time, and how you start seeing every day as something precious. It all weaves together, doesn't it? And there's one more piece to this puzzle that I think ties it all up beautifully, because as we've been chatting about all these changes, knowing yourself better, guarding your time, seeing each day as a gift, there's one more thing that quietly shapes why you might step back from the crowd, and it's something so human, so real. It's about finding comfort in your own company. When you were younger, being alone might have felt like a letdown, like if you weren't surrounded by people, you were missing out. But now, there's this peace that comes with it, isn't there? Psychologists call this a shift toward intrinsic satisfaction, fancy words for something pretty simple. You start enjoying your own thoughts, your own space, more than you ever expected. Maybe it's sitting with a cup of coffee and watching the birds outside, or flipping through an old photo album, or just letting your mind wander without anyone else's voice filling the air. I've found myself doing that more lately, skipping the busy meetups not because I'm mad or tired, but because I genuinely like the quiet. I remember one Saturday I turned down a lunch invite, and instead, I spent the whole afternoon sorting through my bookshelf, pulling out novels I hadn't touched in years. It wasn't lonely, it was perfect. And if you felt that too, that pull towards solitude that feels good instead of empty, it's your mind telling you it's okay to slow down and just be. After all the years of rushing around for everyone else, you've earned that right. It's not about pushing people away, it's about discovering that you're pretty great company all on your own. So, when you put it all together, how you focus on what matters, listen to your needs, let go of drama, grow into yourself, protect your time, see every moment as precious, and find joy in your own space, it's like a roadmap of why stepping back from people happens more as we age. And here's the thing, none of it means you're broken or fading away. It's the opposite. It's you living smarter, truer, more on your terms than ever before. Life's taught you a lot, and now you're using that wisdom to carve out a rhythm that feels right. Maybe you're not the one hosting the big parties anymore, or maybe you're happier with a small circle instead of a wide net, but that's not a loss. It's a gain. You're choosing quality, peace, and yourself, and there's so much strength in that. I think about my aunt. She's 82 now, and she used to be the queen of every social club in town. These days, she's content with her knitting and her cat, and when I asked her about it, she just smiled and said, "I've done my running around. Now I'm home." That stuck with me, not because she's given up, but because she's found what works for her. And you're doing the same, in your own way. Wherever you're at right now, whether you're still loving the occasional get-together or leaning hard into your quiet nights, know that it's all part of this beautiful, normal shift. You don't have to feel guilty for saying no, or worry that you're letting anyone down. You've spent decades building a life, and now you get to enjoy it however you darn well please. So next time you skip the crowd for a cozy evening in, give yourself a little pat on the back. You're not avoiding life, you're embracing it, just the way it fits you now. I'd love to hear what you think about all this. Have you noticed yourself pulling back more lately? What's your favorite way to spend a quiet day? Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one, and it's always a treat to hear from you. If this chat resonated with you, give the video a thumbs up, it helps more folks like us find it. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. I'm here every week with more real talk about living well at any age. You've got so much ahead of you, and I'm rooting for you every step of the way. Here's to making these years the best yet. See you next time.